The Whistleblowers Awards 2024 Gala Dinner honored individuals and organizations for their courage, integrity and commitment to justice, attracting 250 distinguished guests, including high-profile leaders and advocates. Chairperson of Public Interest South Africa, Tebogo Khaas, joins us for more on this, and he joins us via our video link. Tebogo, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I mean, yesterday you held the Whistleblowers Awards at the Maslow Hotel in Pretoria. And one would ask, when it comes to the big winners, maybe if you can just give us a bit of insight in terms of the award ceremony itself and what it is that you were honoring, and those who walked away with some of the awards.
Yes, certainly, and thank you for having me. The rationale behind the Whistleblowers Awards is to recognize individuals who shine a light on malfeasance or wrongdoing in society, and this cuts across from individuals themselves, journalists, individual whistleblowers, as well as media houses and those that support or that walk the terrain with whistleblowers, especially as they face hardships after their incidents of reporting. Now, yesterday was a very great occasion. It was the second stanza of the awards, and we had the pleasure of honoring individuals who actually work with whistleblowers as well as whistleblowers themselves. Amongst the individuals who actually were honored yesterday include investigative journalist Karen Mon, you probably know, as well as the News 24 team, the Carte Blanche team, as well as Open Secrets for all their sterling work insofar as covering report or stories of whistleblowers or whistleblowing. And with regards to individuals, we had Roshan from Cape. We had other individuals locally, and I must apologize. I should have actually refreshed my memory, but it's quite a considerable number of people, including Daniel and many other people who actually were honored on the day.
And Tebogo, why is it so important for you and a number of other organizations to go out of your way to recognize some of the contributions that have been made by these individuals, of course, who were awarded last night?
Can you repeat the first part of your question, please, if you don't mind?
I'm saying, why is it so important, for you and other organizations to recognize, the role that is played by whistleblowers in our country?
Yeah, two things. First of all, oftentimes it is just a mere thank you that goes a long way to making people feel their worth insofar as their good deeds that we expect of every citizen to do in the normal course of life. And secondly, it is also shine a spotlight on those very matters that they shine a light on. But more importantly, to mainstream whistleblowing. What do I mean by mainstream whistleblowing? Is to make it commonplace for people to speak up when they see wrongdoing. Because essentially, we all want to live in a society that is fair, just, and equitable, but it also takes us to actually raise our hand if we see anything that goes up against the very morals or values of our open and democratic society. So in that doing, we want to demystify or destigmatize whistleblowing. You might know often the very uncouth ways that are used for whistleblowers. We want to try to stigmatize such attitude or phrases that are often aligned or are used for whistleblowers. So that is the primary reason for why we actually have these awards. But also, more importantly, it is also to keep pressure or to advocate for reforms in the legislation that governs whistleblowing, including the Protected Disclosure Act, for example, as well as the Labour Relations Act. You'd recall that last year the Department of Justice came out with a discussion document on how to improve the whistleblowing ecosystem. I'm talking about the legislative framework. And certainly we're almost a year later, we're still waiting for a bill to be tabled. So for as long as we keep this alive, and through a discourse such as we had in today's summit following the awards last night, we want to make sure that the authorities or those trusted with to exercise the power to make legislative changes, they actually do act and keep this alive.
And what role do whistleblowers play in our country, and how important of that role do they play? Particularly, I mean, when we speak about whistleblowers, the first thing that comes to mind is state capture. And we wouldn't have known, what really took place during those years if it wasn't for, those whistleblowers who were willing to come out and speak out. So what role do they play in our society, and how important is that role?
I often say, and thanks for that question, because oftentimes we associate whistleblowing with state capture, or what I would call big ticket item whistleblowing. Whereas what we seek to do is to make sure that even at local municipality level, at local community level, people speak up when they see wrongdoing. For example, we know of somebody who connects unlawfully or illegally onto an electricity grid, and in the process, they actually endanger communities around it. For example, kids get electrocuted because of open wires that lay there because they were not properly installed. And certainly in most instances, as it has happened, transformers do blow out, causing damage to the infrastructure, as well as disadvantaging the communities who are affected by lack of distribution of electricity. And often that could take months to actually fix. And it's also a cost to the fiscals, but more important, a cost to ESCOM or the municipalities themselves who are responsible for replacing those. But most importantly, we want to encourage the culture where people know that you consume that which is what you can afford, in the case of electricity, for example, and make sure that you actually get to accept that you have to pay for what you use. We do know that municipalities, for example, have got a dispensation where poorer families can have free electricity up to a certain amount. And we certainly say, to the extent that you feel you cannot afford that, use it sparingly, or at least, but do not connect illegally. I'm just using electricity as an example, but there are many other aspects where we see wrongdoing, kids misbehaving, not attending class, engaging in illicit activity, including drugs and all that. And oftentimes we say, no, that's not my child, so I don't have to speak up. To say, no, you have to pause and speak up. Make it an effort to actually report such conduct either to the school authorities or even to the parents if you happen to know who the parents are. Or if you can, I know it's difficult, if you can also take it upon yourself to say, no, this is wrong. Because it starts at the very basic level, and then oftentimes it cascades into even bigger, what do you call, unethical or even immoral activities that actually take place, and thus pose a great risk to our democracy.
All right, Tebogo, thank you so much for your time. That is Tebogo Khaas is the Public Interest South Africa chairperson, talking to us there about the Whistleblowers Awards and basically the purpose of whistleblowers in society and how important of a role that they play. And of course, they will continue there to monitor some of the work being done by whistleblowers in South Africa.